Hi everyone, my name is Kathleen O'Neill. I'm a physical therapist at Evolution PT in Los Angeles. I'm super excited to be here with the Women's Sports Foundation and Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm going to take you all through an injury prevention workout. We'll work in a little bit of mobility, a little bit of strength and activation. I'm a runner, so I cater some of this to fellow runners, but this is a really great exercise program for really anyone. So thanks again for having me here. Don't forget, if you follow Women's Sports Foundation, Dick's Sporting Goods, you'll get an opportunity to potentially win that prize pack. So we're going to get started with some light movement. Everyone's going to get down onto your mat. Your hands are going to be right under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. And we're going to start with just some cat-cows. So you're going to drop your belly down towards the ground. Each vertebrae drops down one by one until your head looks up. And then you're going to reverse it. You're going to tuck your chin under and one by one rounds up. That's your cat. We're going to do 5 more of those. One more. Next, we're going to do the world's greatest stretch, and this is one of my favorites. You're going to come up into a plank. You're going to step your foot outside your hand, and then you're going to open up to face that leg. Then you'll come back into your plank, open up to the other side, rotate. We're going to do 5 more on each side. Last one. Now we're going to go long ways on your mat. Hands are going to still be under shoulders. We're going to stick that one leg straight out in front of you, and we're just going to rock back onto that heel. You should feel a good, nice stretch down along that adductor muscle here. Super important to start any workout with some mobility. Just opens everything up, prevents injuries in this workout we're about to do. Do 3 more. Good, and then we're gonna switch legs, kick that left leg straight out, and 6 on this side. You may notice as we're going through some of these mobility exercises that one side feels a lot tighter than the other, and just take a mental note of that. That might be something you want to work on a little bit more closely once you get off this Zoom call. 2 more. Good. Next, we're going to open up our spines. We're going to warm up our shoulders a little bit. We're going to come into our plank. Press up into our downward dog, and then we're going to reach and tap one leg, reach and tap the other leg. Come back to our plank. Tap up, tap up. Do 4 more taps on each leg. Great. We're actually going to cycle through those same 4 things one more time. So let's go through 6 cat-cows. Last one. Now we'll get into that world's greatest stretch. So step that leg outside your hand, rotate and open up, and then switch, step through. 5 more on each side. Last one. So now let's get into that 3-point stance, long ways on your mat. Open up those adductor muscles. Now rock back, do 6 on each side. And switch legs. Two more. And last part of our mobility flow, we're gonna do those down dogs with the ankle taps. So we're gonna press up, tap one ankle, tap the other. Let's do 5 more taps on each ankle. Making sure we're pressing through our palms when we're in our plank. Last one on each side. Great, so now that we're nice and warmed up, we've done our mobility, I like to always then go into a little bit of activation. So if you happen to have a band lying around, you can do all of this with the resistance band. If you don't, that's okay. So we're gonna start with some lateral band walks or just some side stepping. So you wanna get nice and low here. We're gonna keep those knees outside of our ankles, and we're gonna side step. I want you to take about 5 steps to your left, 5 steps to your right. Even if you don't have a band on, you should feel the outside part of your glutes. Your glute needs working a little bit. We're gonna go down and back 2 more times. Good. And now we're gonna do some squats, whether you have the band or not. Same thing, we wanna think about hip width distance apart, knees in line with our ankles. We're gonna do 10 squats here. We've got a good chunk of glute strengthening, some core strengthening in our program today, so that's why we're doing all of this ahead of time. These muscles are nice and activated. And then the last thing we'll do is we're gonna keep our core tight. We don't want our back arched. We're gonna work our glutes, the little hip extension. So again, this is still a good exercise even without the band. Core stays nice and tight. We're gonna do 10 of those kickbacks behind us. This is firing up our glute max. Good, and switch sides. Five, 6, 7, 3 more. Good. We're gonna go through that same thing one more time. So let's start with those side steps. 5 steps left. Down and back 2 more times. Last one. Great, and now those 10 squats, right on into them. Two more. Then last one. Core stays nice and tight. We're not arching our back. We're gonna bring that leg back, straight behind us, really firing up those muscles that extend our hip in this direction. And then switch sides. Three more. Great, so if you have a band on, you can take that off. Now we're gonna go through 3 circuits of exercises. Each circuit has a little bit of core, a little bit of lower body strengthening. Again, it's a really nice comprehensive look at what I would program for some of my runners or really any of my athletes that are looking to prevent injury. So we're gonna start with our first circuit. I'm gonna demo the exercises, but then I'll go through them with you as we go. So we'll do a goblet squat, and this, if you have a weight at home, you can always add weight to this, but body weight is still great. Then we'll go through a bird dog. So we want to keep those hips nice and level. We're reaching nice and long and lean. And we've got our abdominals nice and tight and engaged. And then the third exercise in this first circuit, we're gonna pop up into a side plank here. So you wanna bend that bottom knee. You wanna make sure your knee, your hip, and your shoulder are all nicely in line with each other. And then you can either hold your side plank here, or if you're looking for an additional challenge, then you can add a leg lift on your top leg. So we have like a level 1 and a level 2. So let's get going on our first circuit. We're gonna start with 12 of those goblet squats. Other ways you can make this harder in the future, you can add a resistance band above your knees. You can add and progress your weight. 4 more. 12. Now we're gonna come on to hands and knees, and we're gonna do that bird dog. So nice and long and lean. We want those hips to stay level. We're gonna do 8 on each side. This is a great exercise that really works our abdominal strength, our core stability. We get a little bit of glute as we extend that leg. You might feel that from those band exercises we started with. 2 more. Then we're gonna get into that side plank. So we're gonna pop up onto that bottom knee, nice and stacked. We want our neck to be long and lean. And then option 1 is just to hold here. Option 2 is to add in little leg lifts. We're gonna do this for 20 seconds. I love a side plank because we're working our obliques, we're working our glute meats. And if we add in this addition, we're actually working our top glute med as well. So a big bang for your buck with this one. Good, and then let's switch sides. Same thing. Got 5 more seconds. Maybe you're noticing that one side of your side plank feels a lot harder than the other side. Again, just something to take note of. Moving forward, maybe you work a little bit more on your side plank at home. We're gonna cycle through that whole circuit one more time. So 12 goblet squats. Pay attention here, make sure those knees are in line with the middle of your foot. You don't want those knees to come in. Three more. Great, and now we'll go into our bird dog. Again, 8 on each side. Nice and long and lean. You don't want those hips to rock a lot. Hips stay nice and level, like I could balance a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, depending on the time of day. Two more on each side. All right, last one in this circuit. Bend that bottom knee. We're nice and stacked and long and lean through our neck. We're gonna do our side plank. 20 seconds here. Three, 2, 1, and switch sides. Three, 2, 1. All right, awesome job. So we're through our first circuit. We have 2 more circuits to get through, and then a little cool down. Same thing, I'm gonna demonstrate what our first 3 exercises are in this circuit, and then we'll go through them together. So first we have a split squat. I'm gonna show you from this way. We're gonna come into this wider stance here, and we're gonna drop that back knee down. So we wanna think about, instead of a lunge where a knee comes forward over your toes, we're just gonna drop straight down so we're in right angles here. Then we're gonna do a plank, and you can either hold a plank here or you can add in alternating shoulder taps. So we're gonna squeeze those glutes, squeeze our core. We don't want our hips to be rocking as we rotate. And then our last one, we're gonna engage our core here. We're gonna come into a tabletop position, and we're gonna do a dead bug. So opposite arm, opposite leg reach. We're keeping that low back flat against the ground. Really good exercise for our core and our abdominals. So let's start with those split squats. We're gonna do 8 of these on each side. Same thing, pay attention to that knee. We don't want our knee to be caving in over the middle of our foot. Knee in line with the outside of that foot. Switch sides. Great, so now let's go into that plank. For our plank, if you're doing your shoulder taps, we're gonna do 8 taps on each shoulder. Otherwise, you're just holding your plank here. And then we'll flip over and we'll do that dead bug. Back to back core here. So low back flat against the ground. We're gonna come up into that tabletop position here. Opposite arm, opposite leg. 8 on each side. Last one, 8 and 8. All right, we're gonna go through that one more time. So let's start with those split squats first. 8 on each side. If you're wondering what I meant when I talked about your knee, I'll show you from this way. So when you drop down into that split squat, just making sure that knee doesn't come in here, stays in line with the outside of our foot. 8 on the other side. All right, let's come down into our plank. So core nice and engaged. 8 taps on each arm. Five. We got 3 more on each side. And then we'll flip over for that dead bug. Same thing, 8 on each side. Low back flat against the ground. Make sure you're breathing with this. I see people holding their breath a lot. We should be able to keep those abs engaged and still be able to breathe. 3 more. Awesome job. The last thing we have is one more circuit and a little stretch, okay? So same thing, 3 exercises. We've got a single leg RDL. This one's a little tricky, a good challenge of your balance and really good for our single leg stability. So little bend in our knee. We're gonna reach forward, keeping those hips level, and then pull back up using that glute and hamstring. Then we'll get into a curtsy lunge. We're gonna step our back leg behind. We want that knee to be in line with our ankle on the front leg. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll do a plank, and then we'll reach and open up. So let's get started on those single leg RDLs. Probably the hardest thing in this workout. So we're gonna do 6 of these. Hips nice and level. As these get easier, moving forward, you can always add weight to these. 5, 6. Let's switch sides. One more. 6. Great. Now we'll step into those curtsy lunges. So these a little tricky, back knee in line with that front ankle. 6 on each side. Six. Awesome. For our plank, same thing. We're operating in 6s in this block. We're gonna open up, try to keep those hips level, 6 on each side. One more. All right, one more round through that circuit and then we're done with this workout. So single leg RDLs, let's do 6 of these. And switch sides. If you're having a hard time with your balance here, you can always just limit how far you go. So you can shorten just to a little half RDL until you start to feel more stable. Then we'll do those curtsy lunges. And if you're someone who's having a really hard time with those single leg RDLs, and maybe you're a runner or you participate in some sort of sport on the weekend, think about working on your single leg balance more, because every sport, even running, single leg stability is super important and often neglected. Let's do one more on each side. And we'll finish with that plank. 6 on each side. One more. Whew, nice job. So very last thing, we'll just cool down with my favorite stretch. Biggest bang for your buck after a good lower body workout is our hip 90-90 stretch. So we want our front knee and our back knee to be in right angles. And then this front shin is going to be parallel to my back thigh. I'm going to direct my chest so that it's over my front thigh, and then hinge forward at my hips. So instead of like a forward fold we might do in yoga, I want you to imagine there's a string connected to your sternum and it's pulling your chest forward over that front knee. If you're doing this correctly, you're gonna feel a really good stretch in that glute, in the butt cheek of the front leg. We're just gonna hold here. Might be noticing a little bit of soreness here after those squats or lunges. This is a really good post-workout stretch. And then we'll switch sides. So right angle on the front leg, right angle on the back leg. I want to make sure that shin on my front leg is parallel to my thigh. Sternum directed over the front of that knee, chest upright, nice and tall, and we're going to hold here. All right. Awesome job, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me, and for the Women's Sports Foundation and Dick's Sporting Goods for giving me the opportunity to work out with you all. Make sure you follow the Women's Sports Foundation, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Evolution PT Fit, where Evolution PT, where I work. Then you'll be entered for a drawing to win prizes and swag. Thanks so much. Have a great night.